Hey everybody, this is Mike from Range Time Network, and today we're going to go over the Kriss Vector in 9mm. Now this is the carbine version, which means it's got the 16-inch length barrel. That's all I could get at the moment. They are coming out with the pistol variant of this, which will have a 5.5 or 6-inch barrel on it, as well as you can get a different stock and all that. Now this is the 9mm version, as I mentioned before. The cool thing about this is this was originally in .45 caliber. A really good knockdown round, as we all know. The cool factor for the Kriss Vector is the way that the action cycles. It actually cycles in a downward motion, and for the .45 on a full auto, that actually made this firearm more controllable under full auto circumstances. It was very cool, very scientific. It's I guess, you know, it's physics at its best, really, when you're applying some cool logic to a firearm to try to reduce recoil. Now in 9mm you expect this to be a little bit more reduced, so we're going to go over that, see how soft this shoots, or if it doesn't shoot soft at all. Anyway, this is the 9. It's a carbine 16-inch collapsible foldable stock. Very cool. I got a Spark 2 up here from Vortex. I love these. It takes Glock mags, the Glock 17 mags, so you can get 30 round sticks, no problem, real cheap. Real easy to find, a good thing to have, especially if you have a Glock. Then you got an interchangeable magazine system for your defensive platform. They come standard with these flip up from Magpul. Very cool, very nice feature. It does have a rail system that goes from just about the rear to here. Now up here, this is an additional rail system that I bought to add on to this to make it go to make the platform a little bit more easier to use for right now, as it's in the 16-inch carbine variant. It came with, now this is the Gen 2, so it's got an updated trigger, and I'm going to get into that right now, which is the Gen 2s now come standard with the barrel shroud, which I'll give a photo of. I don't have it actually out here with me. You can remove it and put it back on. It's a barrel shroud though that looks like a suppressor, and it's very cool looking, not practical. So I would rather have something like this on here for them to ship it out with. Anyway, that's, again, it's always my opinion, and I like this a lot better. It gives you something you can have a more forward hold on here for a stable platform. So this is you'll find this online. It's for the Gen 1, the .45. It fits perfectly on the Gen 2s. Another thing that Kriss dropped was the Surefire flashlight support. You can no longer go and pop out the hole and throw in a Surefire flashlight. Surefire stopped making the flashlights for the Kriss Vectors. There's also cheaper versions out there that you can still find online for the Gen 1s. However, this no longer has that ability. Everything's glued in, locked down. I found out the hard way, unfortunately. So, other than that, there's a couple of gotchas that I'm going to be mentioning as I go through this. But let's go take some shots, see how she runs, and that'll be great. All right, release, off of safety. Drop the mag, we're safe, bolts locked back, and we're good. Now, a couple of things about this that I noticed is, one, let's start with the bolt release. All right, or the bolt catch. It's right here. All right. Now, what's interesting is, and especially when you don't have this extended rail on here, right, you're gonna tend to want to hold this firearm just like so, and as you're shooting it and you're squeezing in front, you're gonna end up holding that bolt release, and then what's gonna happen is, as the action moves back, as the bolt moves back, you inadvertently get it caught back, so it's in its catched mode. Not a good thing. They did on the Gen 2s extend this grip right around here, so it makes you feel like you should have your hand up in there, and it does feel great and comfortable. Unfortunately, that's what happens. Let me go get a mag, load one up, and we'll show you. All right, so here we go. Loaded, hold it, right away. You see that? Right away. That's because I was holding it back here. My thumb area is covering the back. All right, and that's what's happening. Throw the bolt forward, move my hand, move it back, right away. So that's something for you to understand and realize, that with this firearm, you can't hold it the way it kind of seems to be intended. Now, you might be able to go change your grip up a little bit further, but then this is going to be digging it into your hand. All right, try it again. Looks like it went into battery. All right. Well, I might cut this out. I might leave it in because it's kind of funny. When I first got this and I was running around through it, if I manually went and charged it, it wouldn't go into battery all the way. So maybe it was a break-in period, I'm not sure, but it's working fine. Another change for the Gen 2, right here, safety selector. All right, now the safety selector is ambidextrous, it's very cool. If you look here, it looks a little weird, right? That's because I turned it around. Because originally, when it was in its proper position, like this one, on this side, right? It would actually dig into my finger right there. And it was very, very annoying. Same goes with this cotter pin, which I needed to actually go and turn upside down. So this cotter pin, just flipped it, because then it was digging in right down in here. So I was originally going to go and cut this and melt it a little bit and make it smaller, and then I was just like, hey, I could just flip it, and I did. And you know what, it's still usable, it doesn't get in the way of anything, so it's good stuff. What else do I want to talk about here? It's disassembly. I'm sure it's identical to the 45, and in fact, one of the coolest things about this is if you had a 45 in Kriss and you wanted to pick up the 9, you can take this upper and swap it over to your 45. You just take off the lower piece, throw it on your upper. That's kind of nice. Now I gotta tell you guys, barrel still pinned, so it's not an easy removal. To SBR, Kriss has some sort of funky, you send it in and $8 million later, tax stamp, you'll have an SBR version, which I think is ridiculous. They are gonna come out with the pistol variant, and when they do, I'm thinking about picking up the pistol variant. The serial number is on the lower piece, so I'm just gonna go and register that in SBR of the pistol. So I'll have a 9mm carbine with a swap out pistol lower, which will actually be SBR. Very cool. Last but not least, bad news here. So because of the barrel shroud, the way it goes on, it has a little inslip on the very end, keeps it stable, and the shroud is very stable, but it's not threaded, so you don't have a threaded barrel, which means no muzzle brake or no suppressor use. Really bad news for me and anybody else out there that wants to run a brake or a suppressor or a flash hider or anything like that on the end of their carbine. Very upset about that. It's a bitch because especially the fact that you can't easily take out the barrel. It's pinned in. So you need some serious machining and a really good gunsmith to remove that barrel in order to get that going on for you. Let's talk about the recoil. I expected this thing to be so light on recoil that my nuts would be like, what's going on? There's nothing going on up there. Nobody's shooting anything, right? Nothing bouncing around. Well, this thing actually has a pretty strong recoil impulse, especially for a 9mm. It's just kind of rigid. I don't know, maybe if they changed this to a rubber butt pad, couldn't really tell you. The recoil impulse is pretty strong. Now I tested this against my SIG, the MPX, and the MPX was a lot lighter and a lot nicer. MPX has a just a very smooth feeling. As well as, so today I brought out my MP5, which is another very popular 9mm, and that's the SBR that I have. So we're gonna go and do some recoil impulse between this and the MP5, just as another, you know, side by side, I guess. All right, so recoil impulse test. I'm gonna go with the Vector first and see how that runs. Huh. Just switch back over. Oh yeah, much rougher here. This has just a very rough, sort of jarring recoil impulse. Now, as far as staying on target, I think this does do a little bit more justice, the way that the recoil is thrown down. Let me see. So that's a couple rounds on that little 6-inch plate. Let's do this. All right, so that is a good point. I can definitely stay more on target with the Vector. It's a lot easier. The red dot was staying exactly in place as I was firing. Very cool, very useful. You know, with the MP5, I'd fire and fire, fire, fire. So there was a different type of recoil impulse, which was keeping me off target, and I had a little bit more time to get back on. Maybe if I had a red dot on the MP5, but really, honestly, I don't think so. I could definitely see the difference in my view. So that's pretty cool. Weight-wise, this isn't that bad. I wouldn't be able to really hold it out with one hand as a pistol, although it's a carbine, so this is technically the rifle right now. And it's more of a cool factor sort of weapon. I mean, maybe also the recoil impulse will change once I get this barrel cut down, or I get a different lower for it, because honestly 16 inches is a lot. You're getting a lot more velocity coming out of the round, so that might have a little bit to do with it, but I'm speculating. I do intend to make this an SBR one way or the other. I'm either going to have the barrel just cut by a gunsmith, or I'm going to have it cut and threaded, or I'm going to get a pistol version and then register the lower as an SBR, which I kind of look forward to doing. That would be pretty fucking neat. This is new this year. They had it on SHOT Show 2015. We're in November now. They just started shipping, I guess, late October, early November. So these are now available on the market, but the pistol version on the 9mm still hasn't come out yet. And they're also opening up an e-store on their website to have parts and accessories for this. So maybe they'll start doing things like selling lowers and then you just register them. I kept on calling and bugging them about it because, you know, really, they'd make a lot of money. People would be buying them up. Comes standard also with a 17 round Glock G17 magazine, or any Glock 9mm mag. I'm not really Glock knowledgeable, but you know, it's a good gun, all that. So it kind of helps out that, you know, running Glock, in case you're in a firefight and you're out of ammo, you can run and say to your buddy, hey, you know, give me a mag, man, I'm out, you know, and
what?
he's
Sure.
he's just firing off, and he can chuck you one.
Thanks, man.
It'll work out, you know, so that's pretty cool. It ships with one mag, 17 round mag. In California, you losers only get a 10 round mag. In New York, you're fucked, you get 7 rounds. So sorry, you should just move, you know, just leave. use your feet to vote, as Reagan used to say. I got something else to say. The charging handle. All right, again, you'd think 9mm, you got nice, awesome, collapsible handle. We all know, everybody's probably seen reviews on the Kriss Vector. This is, again, identical to the 45 in all respects, you know, mag release and everything. However, charging this is not easy. I mean, you got to put a little, you know, oomph behind it. Now, for me, it's no problem, but I was thinking, hey, this might be something cool for my wife, or something that my son could toy around with. No way, man. This is too hard for him. He's like struggling, and my wife, forget it. You know, if he's like, they have the same kind of upper body strength right now, and so it's not happening. So I guess my final thoughts on the Kriss Vector 9mm are kind of like, yeah, it's cool. It's really unique. If you're in the market for a 9mm and you don't have one, I would really lean towards finding a Zenith or a POF MP5, or you know, spend a little bit more. Just around the same price point, you can get the SIG. The SIG MPX, which is a really awesome gun. There's a couple of lemons out there, so there's some lemon reviews going around, but honestly, I've never had a single problem with mine. This gun is just uniquely cool. It's a great thing to add to the collection. I can't wait to SBR it. I think I'll love it a lot more once that has happened, and that won't be for probably another year or two. So, you know, this is gonna be something that I'll let my son use and whatnot. But honestly, for its price point, because it's in the same price point as all three of those, the SIG, an MP5, and this, all in there, all the same price. So really, I don't see, other than its super cool factor, you're losing a lot because you no longer have the light option by Surefire. I mean, you can always put on, there is a rail underneath here. And before I put on this shroud, or changed out this shroud, I did have a little hand grip that I put in there. Very comfortable, very awesome to use. So, a lot of cons on this. It's a very exciting firearm. You know, I definitely love it for a few reasons. The plastic, or the polymer on here, is made by Magpul. So evidently they contracted with them to start making this polymer area. It's all, you know, it's comfortable ergonomically, it's cool. Not so great as a carbine because it's just gigantic, you know, so why have it? I mean, the idea of this is really a full auto recoil reduction assisting sort of thing, because of the whole idea of the bolt sliding down, forcing the recoil down. Yeah, rapid fire. Until I ever get my hands on a full auto in 9mm, excuse me, I won't really know for sure. It runs clean enough for me though. I mean, I haven't had any hang-ups. I will say that Pro Mags don't lock the slide back on the last round, so be aware of that, but all the Glock mags work fine out of this. In fact, the only time I've ever had an issue is running the Pro Mag, and that was with the last round coming out and the bolt's still sliding forward. So, winner? Nah, no chicken dinner for this baby, but it is fucking cool, and I love cool things, and it's a gun, and I love guns. So, hey, look, if you got questions or comments, send them to me, I'll answer you. I'll get any information I can out to you guys. I always appreciate the comments. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button down there, subscribe to us, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Once again, this is Range Time. My name is Mike, and have a great day.